It's question time. Because of the versatility of this platform, we find ourselves wondering if this makes a better primary or secondary, and we want to hear your opinion. Would you use the MP7 as a primary by itself with a secondary pistol? Or would you use this as a secondary while holding a full rifle at the same time? Or would you run two of these and run them akimbo? Hit up the comments section below. We want to know what you think. What's up, Airsofters? The MP7 has been a favorite of many a CQB Airsoft player for quite some time. We've seen both electric and gas versions over the years, and we're excited for the all-new release of the Elite Force H&K licensed Gen 2 MP7 Navy gas blowback. Before we run this compact performer through its paces, let's delve into what makes the MP7 so popular. The MP7 was launched in the early 2000s as a direct competitor of the P90, and for the same purpose, a lightweight, compact platform that fires a high-velocity, intermediate cartridge designed to overcome Kevlar body armor. Since its inception, the MP7 has remained a favorite of law enforcement and special forces teams around the world. Its slim profile and low recoil make it very desirable and capable tool in everything from guard duty to VIP protection to door-kicking Navy SEAL operations. This particular airsoft gun is a replica of the A2 variant of the MP7, meaning that it has a rail here instead of the original folding vertical grip. And let's be honest, none of us are really huge fans of that anyway. This is also a gas blowback version of the airsoft gun, not to be confused with their earlier release of the V1 that had the vertical grip and was AEG based. If you're more interested in an AEG version of the MP7, we made a video about that one a while back, so go check it out. Now, the MP7 isn't quite a rifle, but it's larger than a pistol. It can still be fired from one hand, and it conveniently fits in a holster. But it has a collapsible stock, and it feels good in both hands, even when shouldered. And that's the magic of the MP7 and why it's so popular. If you've never shot one of these things, you're missing out.
The Elite Force MP7 comes in a classy box with a carry handle. The packaging is very sturdy and does well to protect the MP7 during shipping. Included with the manual are some replacement O-rings for your magazine fill valve as well. True to the real thing, this Airsoft MP7 field strips after punching out the two rear pins. This gives you access to the loading nozzle and the blowback assembly. The bolt carrier is very long and heavy, which contributes to the hard kick recoil impulse. There is a stiff buffer spring that keeps this hunk of metal from slamming into the back of the receiver. To access the inner barrel and the hop-up bucking, the whole replica needs to come apart, including all of the controls on the outside. This is an advanced procedure as there are a lot of small screws and springs that, if lost, would make the system inoperable. We recommend having a professional tech install these upgrades for you. The inner barrel appears to be similar to a Tokyo Marui spec GBB rifle, but the actual bucking looks to be VFC proprietary.
You know, this thing is really easy to accessorize, as we've done here. Threw on a Matrix Mach suppressor, a flashlight with a push button, PEQ box, and because I've got tons of rail space to add accessories, I threw on an EMG stubby vert grip, which I flipped around BCM style backwards. Nice thing about this thing is it's got a extra battery compartment, so you can keep extra batteries for your flashlights and things like that. And on the top rail, I've got an Avengers T1 red dot. If you want information about any of these accessories, we're going to throw them in the description down below so you can get an idea for what we've attached. External construction is made up of a nylon fiber reinforced polymer for the entire body except for the full metal top rail and the included accessory rails on the 3.6 and 9 o'clock. Something that I like about this version as opposed to the previous version or the AEG version from Elite Force is that instead of the included vertical grip that was non-removable, they've given you an accessory rail on the bottom so you can attach whatever vertical grip you want or run it completely bare and don't worry about doing a vertical grip. One other thing I really like is that they've included the rail attachment points on the sides as opposed to having you purchase them separately as on the AEG. One of the shining features of this body as opposed to previous versions from other brands and from Elite Force is its true 1-to-1 scale. Other versions were super cool and arguably came out faster or sooner, but this one is a true 1-to-1 scale, and for those looking for the ultimate realism, this is going to be a lot more comfortable. Other external features include the ambidextrous controls, we'll get into those in a minute, and a multi-position retractable stock. Now this one has 4 claimed positions, with fully extended being the 4th, then the 3rd slightly compressed, the 2nd being slightly more compressed than that, and finally the 1st position is fully collapsed. The entire platform is still usable at any of its collapsed positions, like so. Which is nice because if you are using it as a secondary instead of a primary, you could easily holster it in something like this holster here, which gives you the ability to release it when you're ready for it, like so, and then to attach your mock suppressor if you're running one. And because of that quick deploy, you don't have to worry about necessarily pulling out the stock just to use it. You can go right from holster to engaging somebody in game. 2 other things I wanted to mention. In true HK fashion, and these are true to size, there are some sling points molded into the body. However, HK doesn't think that anybody uses real adult-sized slings. And so the sling mount points, in my opinion, are quite small. And if you're running a single point, you will need some sort of ring adapter or a very slim sling attachment clip. Otherwise, you're going to be struggling with making these work. And there are 4 of them, 2 on the body itself and 2 on the stock. Although, I don't know why you'd use the ones on the stock. One other interesting note that I love about HK is that they're always thinking about takedown. And if you were taking this down and needed to split the body, losing body pins is a thing. And HK thinks about those things and gives you a place on the stock, like their other platforms, for you to put the removable body pin. And one more thing about the externals that we talked about putting on a mock suppressor. If you wanted to put an adapter on here for a tracer, just know that the threads on the MP7 are non-standard with other AEG rifles. It's not 14mm negative, it's 12mm positive. So there are MP7 specific adapters, and if you are interested in putting on a tracer or a mock suppressor with something that would attach in a way not included by the factory, you will need an adapter for that. Those are also available right here on our website at Evike.com. Let's go ahead and get into the ambidextrous controls and the ergonomics. I've swapped to the bone stock one so you can see some of the included accessories and to get a better view of what's going on the ambidextrous controls. Now, when I say ambidextrous controls, I mean truly ambidextrous. Everything from the bolt release to the select fire switch, which is capable of safe, semi-auto, and fully automatic fire, as well as the charging handle can be accessed from either side. The only thing that's not ambidextrous is the stock position lever, I guess you can call it, but it's really not a big deal to either reach up with one hand or to reach over and adjust it with the other. Now, talking about ergonomic fit and feel, let's shoot off a couple more rounds. It's really easy to bring up to shoulder. It rolls really nicely to engage people with the stock at a moderate extension or wherever it fits you. And I particularly like the hand positioning on the MP7 and the really vertical positioning of the pistol grip. Oftentimes with rifles, you've got a canted grip angle, and so when you bring it up, your wrist is canted backwards like this, and it can get uncomfortable. That's why you see a lot of ARs starting to go to a more vertical grip profile. But they've thought about that with the MP7 and giving you a really vertical grip angle, so in close quarter engagements, you don't have fatigue on your wrist unnecessarily. Additionally, the mag release is easy to access for right and left-handed shooters, and even with gloves, it's easy to find and depress. Something else I really like is if I'm wearing gloves, or if I was wearing gloves, I've got plenty of room in front of my trigger finger if I was wearing gloves for that gloved finger to have access to the trigger. Speaking of triggers, I found it interesting that they've given you a trigger safety in addition to the standard select fire switch that they've got on here. Gives you one more level of safety so that you don't accidentally pull the trigger if you don't intend to. As you can see, they've also included flip up front and rear adjustable sights. These are metal, and they offer you a sight picture both fully collapsed as well as extended. Now, for my shooting position and for the majority of the time I'd be using this, I'm probably wearing a full face mask, which is going to push my cheek away from the stock a little bit. And they're not the easiest things to sight in with a full face mask on. Add to that you've got a pretty flat line between the top of the receiver and the top of the stock, meaning you don't have a whole lot of rise for an optic. So I would suggest if you are putting on something like a T1 or any other optic, you get something with a riser or put a riser on additionally to make it that much easier to bring your sights on target when you've got a mask on. We've moved out here to the 50-yard line. Just kidding, it's 50 feet. We're out at 50 feet. We moved out to 50 feet, but before we test accuracy, I wanted to show you the really cool hop-up adjustment system. This knob right here next to the barrel is your hop-up adjust, and it's a simple rotating knob to set more or less hop. I've got it set for 0.25 since we're out here outdoors. Now, something I found really interesting about this, also I just noticed that there are 2 more sling attachment points. I'm sorry for forgetting those. I'm sure you've commented about it so far. But since we're talking about the hop-up, it's really easy to adjust. But to accomplish moving it all the way up here, it's got a system of gears and levers that allow it to adjust the hop that's obviously right at the start of the inner barrel. Let's see how that affects its performance at the accuracy test. Taking a look at the target, we can see that from 50 feet, it's pretty reasonably easy to keep most of your shots in the A zone. I had a couple that went a little bit wild. When you're dealing with a barrel that is as short as this is, that hasn't been considerably upgraded, you can see that there's a little bit of a variance in your shots. You can always change your bucking and get a tighter bore barrel if you're looking for a little bit more accuracy out of it. But I think that's a really respectable grouping on semi-auto from 50 feet. One other note, if you go full auto on anything with this short a barrel, obviously your spread is going to get quite a bit bigger. I want to know how far we can push this thing. Let's head out to 100 feet and see how we do. We've moved out to 100 feet out here on the jet runway to show you guys how far this thing will shoot. I have no idea if we're going to be accurate at 100 feet. Let's find out. Now, as we review our 100-foot target, understand that I haven't cleaned the barrel and there's a little bit of wind today. So the 2.5s are probably not as heavy as you'd want to go for a little bit of a windy day. And I don't know if 100 feet is the intended engagement distance for something like an MP5 given how short it is. But regardless, we still got all of our shots on target except for one that I shot a little high before I was on my sights. But as you can see, even at that distance, we're still on a body-sized target at semi-auto from that distance. Out of curiosity, I'm gonna run back to 25 feet. I want you to stay here and watch the target. I'm gonna lay this thing down on full auto and let's see what kind of accuracy we get. I'll be right back. Stay here. Now, 2 things I want to mention. This is green gas powered, and with the cool down effect that green gas has, unlike CO2, a rapid rate of fire, which the MP7 has in spades, makes it difficult for the gas system to keep up. And you'll notice that there's some throttling, as you do a full round. If you're doing a mag dump, you might notice that it slows down towards the end, and that's because of that cool down effect. My advice, shoot this thing on burst fire instead of a full auto mag dump. But as you can see at 25 feet, your spread widens considerably from your A-zone semi-auto shots. Are we still on a body-sized target? Hell yeah, we are. Let's do our chrono test. We've got our X-Cortec chronograph set up to receive 2 gram BBs, which I've loaded in our magazine. Again, green gas, making sure there's 1 in the bolt, sent it home. Let's see what kind of chrono results we get. Now on a fresh mag just loaded with green gas on 2.0s, we're getting just about 400 FPS, which is really nice given the fact that this is a system designed to give you a hard kick, and that hard kick would lead you to believe that most of the gas is being diverted to the blowback system, but it's not. You're still getting a ton of gas performance, and that means that it should be a reasonably efficient gas system for a single magazine. Now, because this thing is designed to do full auto, as well as being a really hard kicking system for the gas blowback component, you probably aren't going to get more than 1 reload of BBs per 1 load of gas. So try and keep in mind that every time you fill BBs, you want to also be topping off the gas by filling the bottom of the gas mag. Speaking of full auto bursts, let's see if it maintains this FPS consistency even on full auto. As you can see, the FPS drops off pretty quickly, and that's because that bolt is struggling to keep up with the cooldown effect of the green gas in the magazine. It also kicks out about 16 rounds per second, which is, believe it or not, on par with the real rate of fire of the real HK MP7. Pretty close in terms of realism, and so if you're using this for a prop, it's fantastic. Unfortunately, I would love to see the FPS keep up as well as the rate of fire keep up with it as you're doing those full auto bursts. Let's talk a little bit about performance. I really like the hard kick of it. It makes it feel really realistic, and despite what you may have thought when you first opened the video, when you learned that the exterior was polymer, the real thing is polymer, and it feels super realistic in terms of its weight. Add to that you've got some awesome HK trades, and the whole feeling of it feels tight and well built and really nice to shoot. Thankfully, the gas has been tuned so that on semi-auto and full auto, you're going to get a full mag of gas for the 40 rounds that are included or that are able to be loaded into the magazine. So 40 round mag, you're going to be able to use up the entirety of the gas, which means, again, that you want to fill your gas at the same time that you're filling your BBs, which you're mostly going to be doing anyway. So just something to be aware of. Now, I did notice while the performance is really snappy and extremely reliable on semi-auto, I did notice that on full auto, it seems to flutter a little bit. Now, that could be because it's only 75 degrees here in California this morning, or it could be because I'm not letting my magazines warm up between gas refills, and your results may vary, but just be aware of something like that. One other note about the magazines and the gas system. Now, this is a VFC-based system as opposed to a KWA system. So, mag compatibility is not compatible, and for the gas system, the majority of the components are not compatible. At this time, this thing is brand new, so Elite Force has not yet released a low power bolt, but if that's something you'd like to see, hit it up in the comments section below. If Elite Force is listening, maybe they'll release something like that, and make sure you stay tuned to our social media and our website to find out if and when that is released. Thankfully, Elite Force does have a rebuild kit for the gas system already available with the release of this that's already available on the website. So if you do need to rebuild, maintain, or change anything, you can do that by purchasing that rebuild kit right here at Evike.com. Of course, given the performance that we've seen, I would love to throw a tighter bore barrel in here and maybe change my hop-up bucking to get a little bit more control on the groupings. But overall, out of the box, I really like the fit and finish of the MP7. Some things that I would change. I would love for the sling points to be larger, but of course that wouldn't be realistic, and realism is everything. And number two, boy, oh boy, I wish that there was a drum magazine to go with this thing. I think it would increase the thermal capacity of the storage tank of the gas, which would give you more reliable performance out of the box in terms of full auto burst fire. And brands like TAP that already make gas blowback drum mag conversions or AW Custom should release something for this to give you that drum mag compatibility while still maintaining that awesome performance. You guys know I like to talk about triggers, so let's fire off a couple shots and talk about this trigger. First things first, while we're on semi, notice the safety inside the trigger, or inside the trigger guard on top of the trigger, doesn't allow me to pull the trigger unless I'm fully on the trigger, at which point I can pull it. Now on safe, it does have a lot of sponginess and take up, but it doesn't fire, so that's good. Once we flip it to semi-auto, a little bit of take up, it's a very soft wall, and it'll surprise you if you're not paying attention. I don't mind it so much since the majority of the time you're using this, you're probably going to be in CQB and things are going to be hectic and you're probably just going to be slapping the trigger as much as you can. So not a big deal, but let's talk about reset. We fired, reset is about halfway through the stroke. There's an audible reset click to go back to wall. There's not much of a physical reset click. You can hear it, but you can't necessarily feel it. Again, this is CQB. We're going to be slapping the trigger, and that's about it for triggers. With all the adjustability that the MP7 platform gives you, the various positions for the stock, and the tons of rail space to mount just about every accessory we could think of for this video, it's a versatile platform that's still compact and allows you to use it in a wide variety of engagement types. Personally, I prefer it for the CQB environment. But you could always throw a power-up mock suppressor on the front end and take this thing outdoors. With its gas performance, it's going to be killer no matter where you use it. To find out more information about this gas blowback MP7 from Elite Force, check it out right here on our website at Evike.com. If you haven't subscribed to our various social media platforms, please do so. Our Facebook and Instagram regularly upload awesome content, as well as right here on YouTube, we're doing exciting and creative things with Airsoft products all the time. So make sure you click the subscribe icon and click the bell notification button to be notified of when we drop our latest content. As always, play hard, play safe, play respectfully and responsibly. See you guys later.